I think we're mental well-being to understand that mental health also plays a very important role. So to start with, Shubha, can I please request you to probably share the PPT? It's just
Yes.
about references and we can have like a conversation.
Yes.
All right, can we start from the first one? Lovely. So talking about mental well-being. To talk about mental well-being to begin with, it's very important to take care of your mental health, right? As much as the physical health that we speak about. But how many of us really have the courage and acceptance within us to walk up to someone and say, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not fine today. I'm feeling a little low in my life. And it's okay not to be okay. Are there people that around we connect with ourselves, first of all, and then with others around? When when we travel, I think half of us have traveled, or all of us would have traveled in flight. They always tell us that please put your own oxygen mask before helping out others. So we really need to take care of ourselves, our own mental health, before we really help others, whether it's empathizing, sympathizing, or paying your gratitude to anyone else. Right? To begin with, to understand the concept that what is mental well-being. All right, Shubha, can we have the next slide? Sure, thank you. As human beings, we feel different kind of emotions as you look. Of course, there is happiness, there is smiling, there is the wicked look, there is confusion, there is joyful, sadness, angry, looking those looks, anything that you'd want to perceive about and around. As we speak about, yes, mental being is the combination of our emotions and life satisfaction is what we talk about. Emotions. Emotions is something that we express. But for example, if I talk about the workplace, please tell me, in case if I've had a fight with my cab driver or something back home with my spouse or my husband, and I'm coming to work and I'm entering, and I'm like, okay, and I see my boss, I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I've had this fight, I don't know how it's going to end up, how my relation is going to be. I'm still thinking that thought process is back of my mind. But when I see my manager or when I see someone, my colleague or someone, I have a different change of conduct. Say, hey, good morning, hi, how are you? No matter to what thought you had on your mind, no matter how you were feeling, no matter how you felt with your emotions at that time, saying, I'm not okay. There is something that is running back of my mind. And what am I doing right now is to follow a code of conduct. But of course, there is a safe space between that is to probably take out of your 5 minutes and talk to someone that you relate with, your colleague, whether it's a friend around or your manager, HR, anyone for that matter, except leaving the hierarchy behind when it comes to mental health, saying that, hey, I've not had a good day, just give me some time and I will get back to it, you know? And it's okay not to be okay. And to have a judgment there, or, all of us think that what if we take counseling, if we talk to someone, we approach to someone, what is the other person's going to think? What about the society? Is the society living our life? Is society know how we are feeling, what we are going through? Right? The situation to, if example, taking the same example, say if I've had a fight back home, what is the society contributing in that? Do they know that those are the thoughts that I'm worried about? Of course, there is a safe space that we have to create within ourselves, either to have an acceptance of what we are going through, that we will be able to, we are that resilient to handle things around and say, this is what we're going to keep this aside till the time we are working. And after work, I'm going to focus on this. So that satisfaction of life, that resiliency plays a very, very important role in our mental well-being. Now, yes, it's very important to understand that we do have certain relations with family, with personal friend, at workplace, with friends, with spouses, a lot of relations around us, right? We are parents as well. I'm sure some of us would have kids, right? We were kids too at once. How were we really, really handling our mental well-being then? It is not only for the young, it is not only for the adult, it is not only for the geriatric. It is from the day we are born, the way we handle the child, the way we parenting the child, the way we make them experience around how we are taking care of our mental health. It begins the day you are born in this world. So it's very important to create that safe space for your mental health and your mental well-being given at any stage, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're in the middlehood, whether you are 13 year Whether you're a 50-year-old thinking, what am I going to do after after I finish my office and I'm going to be retiring? There is a lot that people think about. So it's very, very important to understand that how mental well-being plays an important role in our lives. Shubha, can I please request you to play this video so that we understand in a better way?
Sure. Shubha, is there an audio? We can't hear the audio at our end. Is it not audible
It's not audible.
now?
Hey, what's up? I'm Alex. I want to talk about mental health, which we're starting to discuss more in our communities. It's our emotional well-being and impacts our everyday life, how we feel, how we interact with others, even how we think and view things. Our general wellness is connected, so your mental health can influence physical health. Mental health is how you handle experiences in your life, how you cope with everything and take care of your mind and your emotions. Just like you can have physical challenges, you can have mental health challenges, and you need to get help if you're struggling with either. You can't heal a broken foot on your own. You feel me? So you shouldn't have to deal with your emotional ups and downs alone. There is support out there for everyone. Mental health is kind of like a cycle. One day you feel good, Sometimes you might be stressed and overwhelmed about how to deal with stuff. And other times you might feel stuck and challenged, like struggling with something bigger than what you can manage. That might lead to a mental health crisis. Throughout our lives, our mental wellness can change based on what we're going through. Mental health challenges don't have a single cause. It could be your experiences or the chemistry of your brain. What's most important is that you take care of yourself. No matter how you're feeling, there is help for you. I've had my own mental health challenges. I want to share my story with you because I wish I'd reached out for help earlier than I did. I was always feeling low, tired, and noticed that I was getting irritated and angrier. I started sleeping more to try to forget about how I was feeling. I kind of knew something was wrong because I couldn't shake it. I've been facing more stress than normal, but I come from an immigrant family. Everyone holds me to really high standards. I felt like there's no room for mistakes or struggles. I didn't want to reach out because I didn't want anyone to think I was weak or crazy. There was also a language difference. I didn't even know where to start. I wanted someone that looked or talked like me to understand. I felt so uncomfortable and lost. I finally talked to one of my friends who went through something similar. She told me about the differences between seeking a professional versus talking to family and friends. She said her therapist walked her through everything, like you can get better by doing this and will continue to, like monitor how you feel. I decided to go to a community center first. It made me feel less alone to find a community of people I related to and made me feel more comfortable with going to therapy in the future if I ever have problems again. There are so many ways that people can take care of themselves. Most people have their own struggles at some point. You might experience physical or emotional changes or changes in your routine. You know yourself best, so pay attention when you're feeling off or different. It's okay not to be okay right now. We encourage you to talk about your feelings, even if you're facing more stress than normal and want to vent. You can learn ways to cope. You can find out how to take better care of yourself, and you can feel better both mentally and physically. Everyone needs a little support sometimes. You can choose what's most comfortable for you in your situation. Talking has a way of making people feel better, of giving us a sense of relief. And if there's something a little more serious going on, there are things you can do to feel better. Just don't try to do it alone because you're not alone. Reach out. It's worth a try.
Thank you for playing that. Now to talk about a mental health, I hope we understand it's a combination of both mental and physical. right? So what is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Yes, emotions is what we talk about. Psychological is the thoughts that we think, right? How we act, how we behave, how we really manage situations, how we handle things in our lives, right? Social well being. All of us would have social gatherings here, our friends, relatives, family front, personal front, work outings. I'm sure brilliant team outings that you have to connect with your colleagues for you to just not call them your colleagues, but your friends as well at the same time to share some of your bondings with them, at whatever level that you're able to express your feelings to them to how you feel around. It's very, very important to talk about. First thing is accepting. Are we ready? It's very easy for us to say, just approach a counselor and talk about it. It's not easy, right? But to talk about and have an acceptance of, yes, that I would like to speak about it. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. It's very important. It also determines how, oh, yes, it also determines how we handle stress. It's the most important thing and the common thing that we see around is stress. Whether it's work related, whether it's home related, whether it's your personal related, whether it's kids, family, anything for that matter. It's very important to see how we handle stress in our lives, whether to how see what resiliency we have formed around to handle it. And it's very, very important to have it on every stage. So to talk about, we'll speak a little bit about to see what is stress. um, Stress is something that can make us and affects our thought and behavior to how we act and react around us. As I said, that what we are doing is, what if we are overwhelmed, overloaded with work, right? Overloaded with so much of emotions to what is happening on the work front, what is happening on the personal front, and suddenly there are no boundaries, right? We are pushing ourselves so hard into it that we are facing such different emotions within ourselves, and it can be negative and positive and being overwhelmed at the same time. Stress can be positive stress as well. There is a negative stress as well, right? Positive stress is the something that we probably. What if I was nervous before giving this webinar? I'm getting stressed to what's going to happen today. How is it going to turn out to be? Right? That is something a positive stress that I'm looking forward for something that yes, I am part of something to spread an awareness today about mental health. To have a proud feeling, did I convert that stress into an emotion as a strength of mine? Or did I see it as a stress of saying that, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it goes well. I hope there are no glitches during it. I hope everything plays well. It's a very, very, you know, small example of a real life story to what's happening here. So it's very important for us to understand that how are we really, really handling stress around in every aspect of. There are a few signs that we're going to talk about. First is mental science, right? How do we realize that we're feeling stressful? Of course, we all talk about it that we are stressed, but do we know that what are to feel? So Shubha, can we have the next slide? Next one as well. So it says the mental science to understand. The next one after, yes, thank you. What are the mental signs? There are times when I said that we are distracted. We're not able to pay attention on one aspect. You are there in office, but your thoughts are somewhere else. You're at home, but you're worried about your work. If you're at shopping center thinking, you're still worried about your home and your work together. So how are we really, really putting 100% into something if we are not feeling okay at that time? Feeling overwhelmed, okay, yes. There are times when, we get so much appreciated in one segment of our life. Okay, home things might not be going fine, but work, you would be doing flawlessly well, right? You must be getting the recognition, the kind of, the sense of belongingness that you were looking forward to. And it's going awesome for everyone. But what happened to the home life? It's very important for us to create that balance in our life where there are boundaries, where there is balance in terms of handling your home structure and your personal and your professional life. There. Well, yes, there is a racing thoughts and constant worry about, oh my God, I have to take care of the office work also. I have to cook food for my kids also. Oh, I have to take care of my own personal care also. I have to see if my family also needs time. I have to see if my work also needs time. I am only one single individual. How am I going to divide myself into so many different sectors? Right? It's very important to align your thoughts, to prioritize to what's important, to cater first in your life. and see how you can handle those things in a better way, being more resilient. Loneliness and isolation is a very important, sometimes we feel that we're going to keep everything inside, it's going to make things okay. It's not, let's not better share with anyone. Why to create stress for someone else also, why to worry someone else? And even if I do, what difference it's going to make? Anyway, I'm still feeling stress. Even if I talk about it, I'm still going to feel stress. That is the taboo that we hold in our lives, and that can lead to loneliness and isolation. It's okay to share yourself. It's okay to talk about it. We say, thoda sa ro lo, halka feel karoge. Cry sometimes is going to make you feel light. And what do we do? Are we really crying to someone? Are we really saying the world, please look at me crying? I'm not feeling okay. Now I'm going to feel okay after I cry. It's okay to shed some tears and feel light. Similarly, it's okay to talk to someone, share yourself and your feelings, and see how you feel about it. I hope that doesn't just let you get into loneliness and isolation. Then to talk about is the behavior side. There are times when there's a change in appetite. When we are stressed, either we eat, of course, when we are stressed, we'll have our breakfast at lunch in the evening snack, and an evening snack in the dinner sometime. And sometimes we will not feel hungry at all. You know, we all say, oh my God, food, I can't even look at it because I'm so stressed in life, I don't feel like eating. Or either, let's just eat something, I think it's going to make my stress worry away. So there are both ways to handle however suits you the best. But I would say that it's very important to have that routine and a balanced diet where your body is acquainted to have certain things to fight against in life, right? But there are times and it's okay to, feel that way of not having food today on time. If you're feeling stressed, it's okay. Don't have it. It's not a compulsion, right? It's okay to give yourself a day break and not feel okay about it. Then, of course, neglecting responsibilities. We're not able to give our 10% to something. For example, if there are responsibilities coming from a workplace, there are responsibilities of my family on me, there are responsibilities that I have to see for myself as well. These three segments of our life, if we talk about, we start neglecting and say, I don't feel like to. I don't feel that, I want to, I'm so tired in life, mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, that I just want to, lie down in my bed sometime, not get out of my bed and not have a routine at all. I just probably, even if I'm at work, I'm so low in energy. I don't feel like communicating, interacting with people around. There can be a lot of things how we neglect responsibilities. If we are getting away, there is an opportunity, for example, that you were waiting for, it comes on your way, and if you're going and feeling stress, there are times that you will take it up and feel more stress about it, but there are times where you will draw a no and say that I am feeling stress, I would like to take a break for myself in this and see how it goes, if you, even if you want to say a no to it. If yes, then of course you will find your sense of belongingness, as I said, the kind of recognition that you've been looking for is something that we will try to have, that neglecting responsibilities changing into a healthier way. As I said, that we will withdraw from people around us, that we will have low interaction, low communication, or maybe also expressing too much in a way, saying that this is how it is going, this is, you need to understand. Sometimes we might be angry at someone else, but taking out, our anger or our frustration on someone else who did nothing to us in return. It can be in the workplace, it can be in family, especially, when it comes to our mothers, I see that kids can say anything they feel like and they take it all in. I don't know how, right? And as a mother today, I understand that, okay, it's okay. This is how the cycle goes. But again, to understand that, to find that safe space for yourself as well when you are not doing okay. It's very important to say no to things when it comes to it. Family conflicts, there are times when things can get into, in terms of, say, if you've not had a good day at work, it might have a bad effect or a negative effect on your family life as well, right? Whether it's your relationship with your spouse, with your kids, with your in-laws, with your relatives around, there can be times when we would not be resilient enough to handle those things in those terms. When we talk about watch out signs, we call it as wows at workplace. If you see any of your colleagues around, say, feeling very tired and low on energy for a long time, please just walk up to him and her and say, hey, are you okay? Are you doing good? Without any judgment, if that's possible, that's a request. That's the first thing to take care about anybody's mental health or your own. Then it's called outbursts of anger. As I said, there can be time when one of the colleague, you're in the setting where one of your colleague has said something and then you're not feeling good about it, but you cannot express yourself, at that moment because there's a code of conduct of behavior. But of course, there is a safe space that you can find for yourself, again, to connect with someone that you feel that you've bonded with. There are times when, of course, there are small breaks in every office, I believe, not only caffeine, but intake of tobacco, intake of caffeine, there are little walks that people take out of breakouts, right? It's very important. Sitting in front of a system or having that particular time segment to dedicate yourself into work in terms of overwhelming and over pressurizing yourself. If you feel that, you need certain more than 5 coffee breaks a day, then there is something that you need to look out for your colleagues there. Feeling low in terms of achievement, as I said, there might be opportunities on a way, right? For everyone at the workplace, some of the other thing project and how they're performing and how they're doing. If they are really low in performing and achieving something, let's find out the reason as an HR, as a manager, to see what's wrong with you, right? Not to say, hey, not to come up and act negatively and say, what is this? You've been working on this project for such a long time. This is not what I expect from you. It is not the expectations that you have. There might be something that the other person must be feeling or must have something in their shoes to count on, to why they are really, really not able to perform the way they used to. So let's talk about it and see how it goes. Talking about mood swings, yes, there can be a time that you feel happy, you are too much involved between the group, and there can be time where you really take away yourself and say that I don't want to be part of it. It can be either way to watch it. Then yes, work performance, of course, low achievement will lead to low work performance as well, and I hope that we give them a safe space as well for them to express to how they are feeling. Anxiety and difficulty in sleeping are the most common things that are seen where stress can lead to. So I hope if I go in detail about that, I think it's going to take a webinar, so we can do it on the next time. But anxiety and sleep is a very, very important part. It's very important to have minimum 7 hours of deep sleep for you to, as a human being, to function in a normal way. But as humans, we have so much on our plate these days that 5 hours sleeps also feels like heaven to what I understand people telling us, whether it's work, family, social media, or yourself. I really hope that we are able to give that segment of sleep to ourselves. All right, there are stress which are work related. There are times when we are overloaded with work. There can be a lot of pressure. What do we do? Of course, we were not always trained. Everything comes with experience, right? We to become an HR, a manager, they would have been at the earlier stage as well first, then became an HR, then became a manager. So they have experienced everything to what the person upcoming in the new family would feel and how they would do. And that's how you are probably provided to be a TL there or a manager or HR saying, hey, you've already faced this. It's better to now you deal with them, see how they are dealing with it. So it's very important to give that space as well if you have work related stress. Not having too much control. Yes, there are things which are inevitable in our life. You cannot control every situation, every conclusion, whether it's personal or professional. There are times which you will have no control. There are situations you're going to be put in by hook or by crook, maybe by naturally or by unnaturally. But it is again, how resilient are you to handle your thoughts and your mind and your behavior and your actions, right? Thank you. So the next is, today we talk about gratitude. It's very, very important. Shiva, can we have the next slide? Thank you. Expressing gratitude at your workplace. Expressing, please notice the word expressing, not feeling, right? I'm feeling that person is very nice to understand, and I'm very grateful that person made a difference in my life. But do we really walk up to that person? This is how we are feeling gratitude. That's called feeling. The expressing of gratitude is to walking up to someone at first place and saying, thank you for, being there with me throughout and going with my entire thing to the person I am from head to toe and accepting me the way I am, right? Walking up to your colleague and say, hey, thank you for providing me that knowledge. I think that really helped me somewhere and I was just remembering you the other day. So thanks. How do we really, really pay our gratitude towards someone, whether it's personal, professional, and to yourself? We're going to talk about it, but at your workplace right now, how do we really, really pay gratitude? There are some things that I'm going to talk about. Okay, if you were a manager, if you were an HR once, if you are now a colleague or an employee that's working in your organization, do we really send out emails and we really don't turn off our work on time and say, hey, I forgot this to email, let me just do it? Time doesn't matter, but it's very, very important to draw that boundary to yourself. You are the people who are going to set an example, right? For people, those who are going to look up to you and say, this is the boundary that I have learned in my life. So it is very, very important to turn off work when the work timings are over. This is the kind of the gratitude that we can, pay to our people around. Okay, which says don't email employee of hours. Whether weekend doesn't feel like a weekend anymore after pandemic. I think work from home has taken like 24 hours of availability, 24 hours of working around things in our lives. So it's very important to say, oh, listen, can you send her an email? I forgot. It's okay. She can see it on Monday, but just send her it across so that she has it on her email front. Even that thing, you can send that email Monday morning if you really want that email just to be on her desktop and her on email, right? It's very important to understand that sending an email will create what kind of impact and effect on someone that you're sending it to, whether you want him or her to cater that particular section at that moment or not, right? Okay, as I said, weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we all look forward to because that is the time where we have our family dedication, we have our me time, we have our self-care, we have our family time, we have other segments other than work to focus upon. If we are giving 5 days dedicatedly to our work, let's give 2 days dedicatedly to ourselves and to people around to what we would like. Then the last thing is, as I said, that you all set an example for the other employees to have a work-life balance that it looks like. So let's begin our mental health and let's begin showing gratitude from ourselves, first to ourselves and then to others around in the workspace. There are some self-coping strategies that we talk about, how we can cope to understand what we are feeling around us in terms of stress, in terms of anxiety. It is very important to keep a positive attitude. Yeah, we all say positive attitude. I have it. I am a person who is so positive in life. But as individual, we will not realize no matter what, with positive comes negative, with pros with come cons. There is always a complementary dish around us, no matter what, how much ever we try to ignore it or accept it. There are two things. Being positive is very important, yes, but also handling that negative and turning that negative into positive is very important, how we create a balance. Well, yes, as I said, there are times when things are inevitable. There are situations which we can't control. So let's see do we have an acceptance of that? Do we accept how it comes, or do we try to change things? Do we try to make us as, oh, I made this mistake in email and I've sent it already. How do I correct it? I wish I would have written it right. I wish I would have read it beforehand sending it. Why did I not have a proofread? And even if I did, how did I miss it? I always do, always give my work as like flawless. There are no mistakes ever found. How could I? Rather than actually questioning yourself, it's very, very important to give that benefit of doubt that it's okay to make mistakes because we are all learning in our lives. We did not learn and then we were born in life. It's the experience. And I always tell my clients that we're all product of our experiences in our life. So that is the kind of learning that we all look up through. Learn to relax. it's okay. Today, if if I'm taking a webinar and I'm feeling thirsty, I'm going to say, could you hold on for a second? And if I'm thinking in my mind, what is my audience thinking? What is everybody going to think? Oh, this was the speaker who came and who's going to have a sip of water right in the middle of the session. I mean, should I be concerned to how is others going to feel, or should I be concerned that I am feeling thirsty and this audience is going to be part of with me and say, going to excuse me for a minute and say that I'm feeling thirsty and I can have water. If I think in my mind, the way I think is the way I react. So it's very, very important again to have balanced meals, to get full sleep, and to identify what stresses you the most. It's very, very important. If you know your triggers, if you know your stressors, then you can have a better way of dealing with it, right? Now to talk about psychological and emotional. Taking time off from work, of course, there must be a time when you have to, there are events, there are times where we have to give dedicated time to that particular segment, to that particular work. But can we have the next slide, Shpa? Thank you. So it's very, very important to take time off from work. As I said, if weekends is the time when you reach back home, you cannot be cooking and attend. I've seen people cooking and attending meeting and say, I have this work also and I have this work also. What am I to do? I have my maid coming at house and there's one meeting going on. What am I to do? So it's very, very important. Either we create a balance there, or we understand that it's time for us to take a break from it. Get away from distractions. Oh, really? As human beings, we're just distracted in every and any manner. Even if we're working and we see a bell at a doorstep, even if we see somebody else watching on the TV, if we see there is a call coming that our phone, if we are a meeting, we always tend to get distracted. But it's very, very important to probably create that distraction once you have finished your work, whether it's professionally, personally, howsoever. Learn new things. When we were kids, we were asked to draw, we were asked to color, we were asked to play outdoor games. Now, as I think after 25 of age, we're all into work. Let's get into corporates. It's my career time. Let's do it. I need to see which heights am I doing? What am I touching? We just, tend to forget the essence that what we were doing in our life was important. Whether it's say, starting from things small as coloring, that is painting, small as cooking something, small as watching a TV show, small as needle and a thread and sewing something that you like, something that just makes you feel refreshed and accomplishment in your life. So learn new things that might just make us feel better. As you said, expressing in a healthy way, creating art, journaling, however, the way you want to express yourself, it's very important to take care of your emotions. Recognize your strength. If this was a webinar where I could interact, I would ask you this one question that I would request you to ask yourself. Tell me two things that we love about ourselves. When we were kids, we used to write 5 lines about a pet, my house, my mother, my family. Tell me two things today in your life. Take a minute, reflect, and see if you have these thoughts in your mind of two things that you love about yourself.
I think participants can drop it in the chat box.
Well, lovely. I would love to see the responses and see. Please tell me. We're going to take a minute here and give you all time to write. Please tell me two things and share with every one of us that you love about yourselves. Let me read out and see how it goes. Okay. Compassion and being expressive. Thank you, Shubha. Okay. There are no time, people. It's not easy. Of course, these are really two things. And I'm so glad, Shubha, that you were able to answer it so quickly. But again, you can take your own time. Meanwhile, the session is over. Please think the two things that you love about yourself, and I'll tell you why. Right?
Surya says, I'm adaptable and empathetic. That's what she thinks.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right. To talk about, it's very, very important to do something that is comfort. Till date, if I see my parents, of course, they're working parents. And then, my father says, Arey, oh, Rajesh Khanna ki movie. Even though they'll be repeating, but the kind of, happiness, the kind of relaxation that I see on his face is very different. Maybe I'm not able to, connect with the same movie. Maybe I'm not able to connect with the same happiness there. But what I'm trying to say is whether it's watching your old movie, whether it's watching something, just indulge yourself into something that gives you inner happiness. Well, talk about the problems, it'll only get you solutions. If you talk about solutions, we can never think about what problem you have. So let's talk about the solutions and the problems together from the person you're comfortable in your life, whether it's your colleague, your family, your spouses, your friends, your best friend, however, right? I really hope that we're able to connect with someone at some level to understand where we are. So overall, psychological and emotional care is very important part of our lives. Self-awareness is the last thing that we're going to talk about in the last 10 minutes today. If Shubha, before we begin, can you please play this small video? Thank you. Sound, if I may request.
Is that audible?
I like being you, said the reflection in the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I blushed. Me? Yes, you. And by the way, you have wonderful eyes. I blinked, astonished. I do? Absolutely. They sparkle like stars on the darkest of nights. I gazed downward. Thank you. Your eyes sparkle too. Sweet of you to say. You have a marvelous voice. I gently whispered. You really think so? Of course. You sound as joyous as a songbird, whistling in the trees. And you have a magnificent smile. I sheepishly grinned. Well, Mama always says, start every day with a smile. I agree. Your smile is as bright and cheerful as the sun in the sky. And you are quite smart. I took a step towards the mirror. I do try very hard. You sure do. You're as brilliant as a rocket scientist. I like that you are friendly. I leaned in closer. It's very important to be nice, you know. It sure is. You're as peaceful as a butterfly. And you have a lot of courage. I raised my head high. I auditioned for the school play today. Outstanding. You're as brave as a lion. You're a fantastic dancer. Spread my arms wide. They can tour. Around and around I went. Amazing. You're as graceful as a dolphin, gliding through the sea. I flopped on the ground, giggling as I playfully spun around. And you have a terrific laugh. Thank you very much. Your chuckle fills the air with bubbly joy. But most of all, I like your heart. Your kindness is as beautiful as a rainbow. I stood up and walked towards the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I gently pressed my hands against the glass. I like being you. We smiled in unison.
All right. The first thing that we talk about is believing in ourselves. How many of us really believe in ourselves to where we are in our life, accepting ourselves for who we are? it's very, very important to love yourself. That's the reason I asked two things that we love about ourselves. It's not a difficult job to talk about, but it's very, very important for us to know that we are aware of ourselves to how we feel. Sometimes believing our own reflection becomes so difficult in our life. And it's very, very important to show that care, love, affection towards yourself before we provide others. We always have heard about this thought saying that no matter what, it's very important to endure that thing among yourselves before we provide it to others. Kind of a energy that you take it in is the kind of energy you spread out. So I really hope that this video where it will make you reflect somewhere that it's very, very important to have self-love and self-awareness in terms of accepting yourself for who you are, believing in yourself that, hey, I am, awesome the way I am. Because everybody is different in every manner, but we are all beautiful in our own way. So talking about self-awareness, Shubha, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can I ask one thing from everyone is to take a self-hug like this and hug yourself and say, have you ever done that? Will you all take a minute and just hug yourself and say, well done to where you've reached in your life, and I'm proud of my own self to where I am. Can I have that, please?
I think that feels great. Everybody should be doing that.
And please tap your shoulder too by
Yeah.
yourself.
Oh, I see Cynthia is like really, really
Yeah,
emotional while hugging herself. That's beautiful to see.
absolutely.
Yes, it is so true. We actually need that hug when we feel so emotional and we feel low. We want somebody to hug us.
Absolutely. It's very, very important. Can I have the next slide? It's very important to hug yourself and to, believe in yourself and say, I am doing well where I am at today. We were all born empty-handed. So whatever we have on planet Earth, why don't we look at that where we're always in profit, never at loss? So I hope that side or that, line just give us some kind of reflective in our own thoughts. Now we talk about, just for the last 5 minutes, it's about self-care, right? This is going to be a takeaway. And if we can have the video again, I think it's going to explain us better to how we feel and how important is it to take care of ourselves.
Our teeth and washing our hands. These activities are often. We do things that take care of ourselves every day, like brushing our teeth and washing our hands. These activities are often called self-care. Self-care is something that anyone can do and that everyone should do. Self-care is not selfish, and it is one way we can care for our mental health. Taking care of your emotional well-being is just as important as taking care of your body because they work together to keep you healthy. Self-care is something you do daily or weekly that focuses on the whole you. This looks different for everyone, so try some things out and see what's best for you.
My granny always told me, baby, when you're feeling like you're in a funk, try to do something you don't normally do. So I take her advice and try to get out of my routine, So if I've been slammed with stuff and just been really busy, I like to get out of the house, get some air, and just listen to my favorite music. Sometimes I'll hop online and play some games with my friends. We'll complain about school, talk about people that we're cool with, people that irritate us, whatever's on our mind. Lately, we've definitely been talking about the pandemic and how life has been going. Tell them that what we do, talking to each other, is self-care. And they laugh about it. They give me a hard time, but I think they're warming up to it. It's taking a break from everything that stresses you out. You do things you like. You maybe write down your feelings, or you talk to your favorite person, or you could even just take a nap, eat, do whatever makes you feel comfortable before you have to jump back into the stress of everyday life. It feels good to do something that makes me feel good,
It can be as simple as taking a deep breath or learning a breathing exercise that helps you calm down when you're stressed. Self-care can also be practicing gratitude, like keeping a journal of things you are grateful for or happy about. Even just saying something nice to a stranger. You can get in touch with your artistic side, Or do something like joining a new community or activity. Or if you're doing too many things, self-care can be saying no to something that you don't want to or cannot do. Because our well-being is connected. Self-care for your mental health can also be something physical, like walking outside for 15 to 30 minutes a day, or sticking to a regular sleep schedule. If you have trouble falling asleep at night, try listening to calming noises or staying away from electronics before bed. Sleep is essential to self-care, and getting outside or exercising can help you sleep better at night. If you've been feeling sad, angry, anxious, overly tired, lonely, anything, there are things you can do to help yourself feel better. If you're facing any difficulties with your mental health and your sense of well-being, it's important to take care of yourself. You can always reach out for support, whether that's from a friend or a professional. Connecting with others is a big part of self-care. Remember to do what makes you happier. Find things that make you feel better. And make sure that what makes you happy is still healthy behaviors. Don't be afraid to enjoy yourself. The COVID-19 pandemic has made it clear that practicing self-care has an important and positive impact as we get used to a new normal. While self-care is important and helpful, it can't always solve all of your problems. So sometimes you might have to reach out for other support. There are many resources available to you. The first step to self-care is to find what works best for you.
Thank you for playing that. As I said, self-care is something that we're going to talk about in the last 5 minutes. It's very important. First thing is we're going to talk about is wear your own mask before you helping others. It's very important to take care of yourself before you have to handle such responsibilities, whether when it comes to your work and your family at the same time or yourself. The first thing is to begin within yourself. Take care of yourself. Shower yourself with blessing, shower yourself with gratitude, shower yourself with positive things around in your life, which will come with negatives, of course, as I said earlier, but it's important to talk about things that are going to work out well. Socially, you can connect with your friends, you can connect with family around, have conversations with them, right? Ask for help when needed, right? Um, some people are givers, some people are takers, some people are good listeners, some people are good at expressing things. So recognize, identify to what you're good at, but make sure you do express yourself in however manner you want to. Spend time alone with your romantic partner. Yes, it's very important to have that kind of space as well. Keep in touch with your old friends, right? And your old life, right? Of course, we get married, we see a new life, we enter work, we see a different work frame, we enter school, we see a different life. So all stages will get you something different in your life as experiences, as people around. But I really hope that we're able to socially, connect with them as well. That comes spiritual self. It's very important that we can practice probably mindfulness, right? Meditate a bit in the wind, spend time in nature, like in mountains if you feel like. Half the people in pandemic had to work from home, and I think half the world was traveling around to mountains and beaches, and that's the only thing I could see. And I'm really glad that you all at least got a chance to rejuvenate yourself somewhere, whether if it was not even going, also staying at home, but finding your space of comfort. Recognize things that gives you meaning. Of course, there are things, indulge yourself into meaningful community service, whether it's probably, as I said, whether it's making an art, whether it's, getting yourself into probably doing a langar, maybe probably helping out someone to some way. If it's on the work side, whether it's personal side, just take care of yourself in terms of that. Well, appreciate the things that are impactful to you, right? Something that creates a difference in our lives. And as I said, it's okay to walk up to him and say, "Hey, thank you for giving me that knowledge." It just made me feel very good. I feel really good in my thoughts and my behavior and the kind of a feeling that I'm running in my mind and soul right now. So it's very, very important to have a spiritual self-care as well. Last we're going to talk about in the evening is professional self-care. Yes, improve your skills professionally. That's going to help you out as well, right? Say no to excessive or the responsibilities, the art of being assertive, but also understand that saying no is not going to make you feel guilty later. It should be guilt free. Only then say a no to a responsibility where you could find yourself in. Learn new things that you relate to your profession. Of course, there might be times when you're put in one team, but you also like the process of the other team. See if you can explore and learn from the other team and indulge in yourself and have that advanced skill in yourself as well. All right. Make time and time to, of course, there are times where we don't have whole day to build with colleagues around, but it's very important to have that bond in your workspace around people and say, hey, do you want to guys want to catch up for lunch? Okay, who's coming from the floor? Rather than saying, hey, I have a group, let's go out. It should be an open space to people around and have that safe space to create among your workplace. I hope that really helps us out to maintain that kind of bond and the expression of feeling how we are. Keep a comfortable workspace that allows to be successful. It's very important. Our leaders are going to set that example. And I hope that all the employees are able to create that kind of place where we have that bonding and that sharing that allows us to be ourselves and take care of ourselves, not only personally, but at the professional level as well. So thank you all today so much for having me here and understanding that mental well-being is a very, very important part of our lives. And it begins of creating a difference among yourself first. Wear your own oxygen mask, take care of yourself first, then take care of others. Don't exert yourself too much in life where you just give up on life. Life is a very beautiful space to be in. So as I said, we were never at loss. We came empty-handed. We had so much to look around and count the blessings to where we are. That's the gratitude I would say. Thank you all for being here today and taking that first step of even listening to what mental health means. It means a lot. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Karishma. We do have some questions. If you have some time, I think we can start with the first one.
Sure.
So Bhaskar says, when I'm strong, I feel and assume others are strong. Others are strong too. In such phase, how to understand and feel others' pain or agony, as sometimes your happy energy is so contagious and people who go through a rough phase always take time to open up. So how to help them?
That's a beautiful question. I'm going to explain one concept here. There is called empathy and there is called sympathy. When we are empathetic to someone, we are putting ourselves into someone else's shoes to understand, how the other person is feeling. But when we are feeling, sympathetic, we tend to, get carried away with their emotion. If they're crying, we'll start crying. If they're happy, we are going to feel happy. So the energy that we're talking about, in case if you are happy and the other person on the opposite end is not on the same level, see how you can create empathy there and understand and draw that line to be a listener than being a talker and a giver. So I would say that empathy is very important here. And to have that creation in life, I think is going to help you out to understand and channelize energy and understand emotions of your opposite partner as well.
So, though easier said than done, how can people be more empathetic? Because, like you said, it is true. People are sympathetic because they show their kindness, but how can they be more empathetic towards the person who's sharing, whatever they are feeling at that moment?
If you're telling me, Shubha, for example, if I take it, real life example, if you're telling me that I've not had a good day today, I've not had a good evening today, but I've had a great evening. I had an awesome time today in office. Or you can reply and say, hey, I had a great time, but what happened to you? You're expressing your way also that you are happy at your end, but you're also ready to listen to how the other person is feeling. That's how we create empathy and be a listener and an observer and a talker at the same time.
Thank you. Bhaskar says perfect. I think that is the perfect answer to what he was asking. Surya has a question. She's asking how to deal with mood swings in teenagers.
Oh, wow. Of course, as I said, it's very important. Our childhood plays a very, very important role. So as kids, when you say if you're a parent, if you're asking to how to handle a teenager, to what I understand, Surya, teenage mood swings comes very, very, how we're using use of social media today, how we are actually providing the kind of parenting. The mood swings are also how we are spending our time as parents with the kids. Are we really forcing them to say, okay, don't do this? Then they're obviously going to make sure that why is my parent saying no to me? I'm eager to know and I just want to explore. Why not? But if you sit with your child and explain things in a better way and say, hey, I want to watch this Netflix series with you today. And please show me, what do you watch? What do you see? Whether you like it, whether it makes sense to you, it's not. You're creating that safe space for your kid. So having that relationship between the child and the parent will probably make you have a better way of handling the teenager's mood swing. You will know your child better. You will also create a safe space for the child to have that bond as a parent and as a kid between you two. So if that helps, that might just maybe able to make you handle their mood swings in a better way.
Yeah, I think
You're
bond with them, and yeah, I think she got the answer. I also have a question, Karishma. How to deal with the feeling that we have, the feeling of being judged by others when we think of sharing, but we don't have that courage to share with them because we don't trust them somehow. So I'd like to ask that and how to how to build that trust, because and it's not that we don't trust our family completely, but still there are things that we still think that, you know, they might judge or they might react, or they may not understand, or even if they understand, because in the past, even if we have shared something, they have you know, like come up with certain things when there's a dispute. They get the old things before us, and they kind of, you know, whatever, accuse us of, they say things to us. So how to build that trust again and share things is
It's a very beautiful question. And in the beginning, you read a Buddha quote, right?
Yes.
And to everybody now who's attending the session today. And Buddha also says that whatever we think is what we become. It's a line said by Buddha.
yes.
And if we think that we are being judged by people around, we will never be able to, because people, as I said, Shubha, we are all product of our experiences today. Some people might come from a very non-judgmental aspect. Some people might come from a very judgmental aspect because their parenting, their childhood, their life experiences must be as through. So who to trust? Of course, there is a time you are able to recognize when you have spoken to that person before. Has the person reacted the way he or she did? Has, you know, he or she taken the way, if I told any of my secret before or shared to how I was feeling earlier in my life, was I able to connect? Only then you will be able to trust that person and build that belief and faith in someone. But if you feel that yes, there is a possibility and a probability that this person for this particular thing is going to judge me, maybe not for that topic, but for this one especially, find your space with the person that you think who will not, right? If you already have that doubt in your mind, you will never be able to build your trust from the beginning. That's why we say, you know, when we connect with a counselor or a psychologist, we are unknown to everybody's life, right? We are absolutely out of touch to know what mattered before and what not. So in life, I hope that that safe space is very important. And as I say, therapy is a it's a very non-judgmental space. There are times when people express, you know, being angry and they want to abuse, and it's okay. And they want to say, I want to dance today, I want to jump around, I don't want to see the world how they are. Can I do it? I said, go ahead. That is the safe space as a person I am ready to provide. For you, you will have to be a better judgment to understand that this person, can I entrust my belief and faith in him or her for me to share this? Or just see that the kind of small incident sharing and then see if you're being judged or not. It might just give you your answer to see that is that your safe space to open up and see you can really express your emotions to that person.
I think that's wonderful. Good idea. Thank you. There's a question from Prachi, and she says,
Should I open the chat
so,
too?
yes. the question
I
from-
think she's ready to ask the question, but she's not mentioned the question yet. To what I see.
Because I got this message from Sonia. She says there's a question from Prachi in the chat.
All right. Let's
Hey,
check
hi
it out.
Shubha, this is
Hi,
Prachi
Prachi.
here.
Yes.
Thank you, Prachi.
I think
You may
I
ask
I
the
think
right
I'll
one.
ask my question directly.
Please
Okay,
come.
okay. So my question, Karishma, here is, individuals or, like students or employees, who are socially awkward or who have got, who cannot express themselves or are introverts. So typically we create safe space for our children, or, parents create it for, or the loved ones create them for their people. But people who are, as you progress and as you, disconnect from parents or from your friends, or, how do they create safe space for themselves, because it's really difficult. It is easier to say that, you need to create a safe space from an employee's perspective, but how do they do it in reality? How do they
So
start
you're
with?
All right, so you're saying some techniques which will help you out to probably create that safe space in how for your kid. Is that the question?
Yeah, for
If I found it
students,
correct?
teenagers, and also for the employees.
To have that safe space is the first thing what Shubha was talking about is being non-judgmental, right? It's very, very important for us to say, even if your employee, your student, your kid, as anybody walks up to you and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. If you're going to say, you know, why are you feeling like this? This is not okay how to feel. You are actually expressing your view, your thought, and imposing it onto someone else. You're perceiving it the way you would perceive, not how the other person is expressing, not how what other person is feeling. So it's very, very important to create that space. How? By letting them express, hear them completely what they have to say, to not have any biasness there when you actually give your feedback, comment, or your own suggestions in your life as a friend, as a colleague, as a mother, as a parent, however, right, to that particular subject of yours in life. Ensure that it is a very, very non-biased comment or a feedback, because that might create and that might impact that person of having inbuilt that trust and faith as she was talking about, right? As Shubha was talking about how to do that. And to ensure that I am doing that in Prachi, I need to ensure that Prachi in return is not going to tell me that, hey, Karishma, this is not fair. Yeah, you did not do right. Ye galat tha. You should have done it this way. You must do it this way. When you are saying this to a person, that person will never next time walk up to you and ensure that, you are my safe person to share with. So for me, I would say, please try to be, it's not easy, as you said, easier than done. Please create that non-judgmental, non-biased space in your head first about that person, because we never know what that person is feeling at that moment. We don't know what that person has gone through to why he or she is expressing the way they are to Prachi. Yeah? Does that answer your question? Across any age group.
Yes, that does answer.
All
Um,
right.
I think Cynthia wanted to share an experience. Cynthia?
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
We should wait.
Was it me, Shubha?
Yeah,
Shubha?
Sonia mentioned that you wanted to share an experience.
Oh,
Okay.
I just suggested that if she would like to
Maybe a
share
question.
her learning from the
Oh,
session.
okay,
So
okay.
that's
I thought of past experience. Or maybe if you have a question or something. Though I do have a question. Cynthia, do you have a question else I'll ask? I have a lot of question.
You can go ahead, Shubha. I'll just think over my question and get back. Yeah.
Sure. Karishma, we have heard about mind fog. So maybe if you could throw some light on that. People, when they feel confused and they are unable to concentrate, because it's a part of stress and anxiety and depression what people go through. But a little more on the mind fog thing, because I have heard about it, but how do we, maybe we can know a little bit more about it and how to tackle the situation when we are in that.
Concept. Shubha, that's a beautiful concept that you reminded me of today after a very long time. It's called mind fogging. Yes. It includes 3 segments of our life, right? Anxious, stress, and the resiliency to handle both. When we talk about mind fogging, there are times when we're not able to concentrate on anything around, right? Our thoughts are jammed. You know how we have signals in us? We do have that energy. How do we channelize that? we do have, but we don't have control. What we don't have control over is our feelings there. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming. Sometimes it can be over pressurizing. Sometimes it can be just nothing as blank, right? And we don't know which segment of a life to cater first. What are we doing? We feel so feeling of that worthless arise from such mind fogging, incidents that we feel around in our life, and we are worth nothing. What am I good at? What am I doing in my life? Where am I? We see people around. I see my colleagues. They are here in this life stage to what age I am at. What am I doing? So that feeling just clogs your mind, just fogs your mind with every negative thought. We have so much on our plate. Our thali is all decorated with food items. Please tell me what to pick first. Same way, in that thali, in that plate, if there are only negative thoughts, right? How do we find out what works out the best, what I want to eat first, to how I am, what I'm doing, right? It's very, very important to understand that we create that space of resiliency to handle that anxiety and stress and find that thin line between both of them and see where to have these negatives keeping aside and see what way I can work upon to be more resilient. If that answers your question, that mind fogging can lead us to work, but it's very important to see how we draw boundaries between all of it to understand where we are.
Yes, and any suggestions on, because I have heard that even having enough sleep helps, like you mentioned as well. So how can, if somebody is not being able to sleep properly, what can that person do? Because sleep is something you cannot get.
Right.
It just happens on its own.
All right. On its own, sometimes we lie down on the bed and we don't know, we don't get sleep for hours and hours.
Right.
Sometimes we see that, oh, we have to get up in 2 hours, oh, we have to get up in 3 hours, oh, my alarm is about to ring.
Yes.
The sound sleep. There are times when our patterns of a thought to what happened in a day earlier. Let's start. There's a very small technique, if I may suggest, and
Sure.
that's why I talk about. It's about reflection at night. What happened in the entire day, what worked out and what not. This is what I'm going to do next day to what it worked out. If this works out, this is what I'm going to apply in my life going forward. And if it didn't, and if I would have reacted or acted or behaved in a different certain way, this might, this thing might have worked for me differently. So that thought, I really hope once really gets you not only, of course, we can exercise physically and exert our body, that will put us to sleep. But our thought plays a very, very important role for us to have a sound sleep. So I hope that reflection really helps us out to keep us day side, right? There might be things which might be like, oh, I am feeling stressed. I shouldn't have done this today, I might have done it wrong way. I should have done this. I must have done this. When you talk about should and must, you make a compulsion for yourself. I could do this. I would love to do and make an improvisation and see how this works out for me. So let's create a hope in our conversations at night within our thoughts and see how it goes rather than channelizing energy to what went wrong. That's why I said let's not talk about solutions, but also problems to understand, to find solutions.
Yes, I agree to what you're saying. And in fact, what we do mostly, I'm assuming that everybody else does that too, because I would concentrate on what went wrong the entire day. If I'm unable to sleep, I'm perhaps thinking of what went wrong rather than also concentrating on the things that went well and maybe following that pathway, following or using it as a formula for doing things correctly next time as well. So not concentrating on the goods is something that we are missing there, right?
Yeah, we always tend to choose negative before, positive. That's fact of life. But let's make a conscious effort to find a middle line, not only black and white, but a gray area as well, and see how life looks like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karishma. I think everybody has asked their questions. Thank you for asking my question. Thank you for, I was answering my questions and everybody else's. My takeaway from this session has been when you mentioned that we have to learn to relax. We have to think about ourselves, like wearing the mask first and then helping others with that. So we need to learn to relax and consider what we think about ourselves, and sharing what we feel before we are helping others, before we are empathizing with others. So great. Recently, I also bought a mandala book. I think you would be aware of that, where you color. They have those drawings, and then you color in that book. So it has helped me. And thank you very much on behalf of the AICI India Mumbai chapter. I thank you for being here, and it was lovely having you and having an insightful session from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shubha. And I would really, before we part for this evening, wish you all a very World Mental Health Day. And it's important to take care of your mental health before we take care of anything else, before giving our time to every aspect of our life. Let's begin it taking care of ourselves first. So the only thing that I would, tell you today is to take care of yourself. Count the blessings, shower, learn, enjoy life. It's a very short span of time. There is a lot. Life will go on and move on. Things will keep coming. Things will keep going. But how we handle and how resilient we are is the way we express our life towards. And I really hope if someone not and feel likes to express, please go to a counselor. It's a very non-judgmental space. It's very fun, right? It doesn't have to be very therapeutic. It can be just a time and say, hey, I'm not feeling good. Would you like to listen to me today? You better have an half an hour to see, I just went out. And I really hope that you all find a safe space in workplace, family, and professionally, and take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And before we leave, I think we can have a quick picture there.
Of course.
Smile, everyone. And may I have others' cameras on?
Thank you.
If that's possible. Okay. Cynthia, would you be able to? Perfect. Thank you. Surya, would you be? Ashwin and Sonia are traveling, so they won't be.
No worries.
Okay. Smile.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and please have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.